Hi, everybody. This week, I'll be talking about car loading options. So, I know some of you are getting ready to train your dog to get into the car. So, we'll talk about just some options you have for getting them in there or training them to get in. We have other videos in the blog already on actual car training, so training your dog to be comfortable riding in the car. Today is about the loading up process and some options for you to consider. All right, let's take a look. Options for getting into the car. So who is this for? This is for you if you are ready to start training your dog to get into the car. Or maybe your dog isn't actually ready for the car yet, but you want to start the loading up training in the house now. Or maybe you're already getting your dog into the car, but you don't really like the way you're doing it right now and you're looking for a different option. All right, so option number one for getting your dog into the car is carrying them in something. So it could be a crate, a carrier, a car seat. Obviously, this is more feasible for smaller dogs, but can be done with larger dogs, especially if you have a helper. Pros of this approach is that you can do this with dogs who you can't touch, because you're just touching the crate. They are safely contained, which is really important, particularly for dogs who are flight risks. You can get them in the crate and close the crate before you open the door of the house, and then you can get them, say, into the vet's office before opening the crate again. And of course, you can train the dog to go into and be comfortable in a crate or carrier in the house before you ever get to the car. Now, on the downside, it is harder with larger dogs. It can be impossible to do on your own if you have a very big dog. You do have to be able to get your dog into the carrier or the crate. And it's possible if you're using this to get your dog only to places that they hate, or say they hate the car ride, you could end up poisoning the crate or carrier that you use. If they learn the crate predicts the vet, for instance, they may no longer go into the crate willingly. So that's something to pay attention to. Now, what does it mean for you if you choose this option? You'll want to train your dog to get into the crate or carrier on their own. And this can be as simple as starting by tossing treats into the carrier or crate. And then I like to also work on teaching the dog to either stay sitting or lying down while the crate or carrier is picked up and then moved around. That makes it less likely that they'll fall over, which can be scary for them. Now, just a few examples. Everyone knows what a crate is, but here's an example. This is Pancake's car seat. You can kind of see it's just open kind of padded box, and it has a clip to his harness. So you still have the security of him being clipped in, but it's not as enclosed as a crate. And for some dogs, that can be a good option. I also wanted to show you this example. This is one of my client dogs, Piper, and I really like this option they came up with because it has multiple functions. This is actually a car seat that kind of clips into a stroller frame. So on the left, you can see Piper in the closed car seat bit on the stroller. So if you didn't want to take the dog out and have them walk on leash, or say you couldn't leash them or they're afraid of walking outside, this could be a way to get them safely safe from the car to a vet clinic or to some other destination. And then on the right, you can see just the top portion detaches from the frame and then it's clipped into the car. And it can be completely closed. So it can be similar in security to a crate. Okay, option number 2 is really encompasses multiple options, things like steps, stairs, or ramps. This is nice because you don't have to necessarily touch the dog beyond, likely leashing them up. Otherwise, they'd get themselves into the car. It's easier for large dogs than trying to carry a crate. It's really useful for senior dogs. So even if your dog isn't senior now, it can pay off later if you teach them to use one of these car loading options. And most of these you can train in the house first before you work at the car, and that can be really helpful. Now, on the downside, some dogs find ramps and stairs scary, and that means that your training process might be more drawn out. And the really good stairs and ramps are pretty expensive, I have found. So this is a ramp here in the photo that's sort of medium width. Now, what do you train if you decide to go with this option? You want to train your dog to walk up and down the stairs or the ramp, and you can do that in the house. So just to show you a few examples, these stairs are the ones I'm currently using for my 2 large senior dogs, and I really like them. They extend really far out so that they can be very shallow steps, which is important for dogs who might have trouble stepping up, and they're grippy so have good traction, and they're pretty light, so it's easy for me to take in and out of the car and extend them. And this is Juno. She's about a 50-pound dog, to give you a sense of scale. Now, if you have a low car and a dog who only needs a little step up, this is another option. This is a single step, and the photo is generously shared by one of our Confidence Builders Club members, and her kitty is modeling, showing you how large the step is. So a single step just to get into a lower car might work. Okay, so option number 3 is lifting your dog in. And I left this for last for a couple of reasons. It tends to be the option that a lot of us go to by default, but unfortunately it also happens to be one of the more problematic options for a lot of reasons. Now on the upside, it's quick. If you can just scoop up your dog and put them in the car, it's fast and you don't need any special equipment. But on the downside, a lot of dogs are not very tolerant of being picked up. And when you pick them up, you are putting your face and other vulnerable parts pretty near the business end of the dog. And so you are at risk for a bite. It is, of course, much harder with very large dogs. And for some dogs, it can actually be painful. If they have some joint pain or arthritis of some kind, being picked up can hurt. If you do decide to go with this option, what should you train? I like to train some kind of behavior that helps me get the dog picked up. Usually I will let them know, hey, I'm going to pick you up. And then either I'd like them to stand still or possibly turn in some direction, maybe turn sideways to me because that's convenient for scooping up a smaller dog. Some little dogs already naturally will put their paws up on you to be picked up. So you could use any of these options. You'll want to take this slowly, though, and really watch body language and make sure that anytime your dog is picked up, something good happens for them, because this is not something that a lot of dogs like naturally. All right, everyone, I hope this was helpful and you found at least one option to try that you haven't thought of before. If you'd like to be on our email list and get our weekly newsletters and any updates about our classes and discounts, go to the link at the bottom of the slide, dogkindtraining.com/newsletter, and you'll be on the list. All right, have a great week. I'll see you next week.